Hey everyone! So as I finish this Buffalo Trace kosher rye recipe bottle, it's near the end. It kind of makes me reflect on how much my palate has changed, is continuing to change, and will certainly change in the future. And that I say that because this was a bottle that I once really sought after. Certainly this and the regular flagship Buffalo Trace. And now I'm at the point, kind of like I'm finishing it. I'm like, I might wait a little bit before getting it again. Taste profile is not that it's bland, but it's just kind of basic for me right now. And this is something that I, probably loved a lot more before. But I've had so many, different, weeded bourbons, cigar blends, toasted bourbons, different finished bourbons, just different stuff that I'm kind of evolving towards that now, maybe away from this. Although these are some of the classic bourbon notes, there's nothing wrong with it. But, the other thing is, this was a bottle originally, the very first time I got this, as well as this, which is the wheat recipe. It was like 40, and then you couldn't see it for a while. Then this prices skyrocketed, and then finally they got a little more normal, and that's when I got, this again. This was like 53. For now, at this point, I probably would. If I'm going to get this is so close enough for me to that taste profile of the flagship Buffalo Trace, I'd probably just get that for less money than this. And those are starting to start. I don't want to say that it's the right price yet, but I'm seeing the flagship Buffalo Trace more and more by me. A little bit more normal prices. I'm not saying that they're the 28 to 32 that I did originally, but I'm seeing them for like 38. I even saw it for 40. That's nuts, but I'm seeing them for like high 30s, which is starting to get down, and it's still less than this. So I did say even of that, I think that this for me was the one I like better than this. However, for this, I can get the flagship Buffalo Trace down maybe a little bit more if I wanted it. This is a different story because you know how the Wellers are, and I was just lucky enough to get the Antique 107 for $69. But generally, even the special reserve, the green label, which is probably the most comparable to this, sometimes can be $110 by me. It's insane. So if I want that taste profile of that, this may be the one to go with. But in general, something I really liked before, I like less now, and maybe tomorrow I might like it more. But no doubt, it's 7 years. It's certainly a tasty pour. A flagship Buffalo Trace is close. If you get a store pick, could even be better than this. But we'll have one last pour right here. Cheers. It's a good one. I will say, if you're a beginning bourbon drinker or want to get the classic bourbon tasting notes, this is certainly it. Along with the flagship Buffalo Trace, your oak, your caramel, vanilla, and you can get those classic tasting notes at a reasonable proof. This would certainly be good. Although I probably would say start with the Buffalo Trace flagship for less money, and even if you want to go less money than that and get something similar to this, honestly, at this same proof, you can get the Buffalo Trace, not the Buffalo Trace, the Benchmark single barrel 95 proof. This is 94 proof. I'm telling you that I blinded that Benchmark, and it was just as good, if not better, than a whole bunch of other stuff that was way more expensive, and that's $28. So there are options for this that are less money if you want the taste profile. I would do that if I wanted it. I'm also kind of looking at different stuff now. You know what? Tomorrow or next week, that could all change. Cheers.